The human mind is an instrument of seeking. It is never satisfied with what is simply known. It hungers for what lies just beyond its grasp. Mystery becomes the gentle fire that keeps this seeking alive. When everything is revealed, curiosity dies, and when curiosity dies, connection weakens. What draws one person to another is not the full story, but the parts still untold, the unseen, the unspoken, the undefined. These create the silence that the mind cannot walk away from. It returns again and again, not to what it knows, but to what it still wonders about. Mystery does not hide truth. It protects its depth. In relationships, mystery is not about deception or games. It is about sacred restraint. It is the understanding that not every part of yourself must be shown at once. Just as a garden reveals its fragrance slowly to the one who stays, the soul, too, opens in layers. When a person encounters another who does not rush to reveal everything, who moves with calm self-possession, they begin to feel the magnetic pull of the unknown. They sense that there is more to uncover, and that realization keeps their attention anchored even in absence. Mystery sustains reflection because it awakens imagination. When a man lies awake at night, his thoughts drift not toward certainty, but toward wonder. The question that has no clear answer becomes the seed of endless contemplation. He begins to replay moments, searching for meaning between words, in the way silence lingered after laughter, in the way the eyes did not give everything away. The mind begins to weave stories not out of fact, but out of feeling. The unknown creates motion within him, emotional motion that sustains his connection to what he does not yet understand, but deeply feels. In the path of the Shaolin Way, one learns that clarity is not the same as exposure. The master speaks in parables not to confuse, but to train the student's awareness to grow sharper through effort. The lesson is never handed over. It is discovered through silence, through patience, through stillness. In this way, mystery becomes a mirror for growth. What you do not understand immediately forces you to look deeper within yourself. In love and human connection, this same dynamic unfolds. The one who carries mystery becomes a quiet teacher, not through words, but through presence. When everything is visible, the mind becomes lazy. It stops reflecting because there is nothing left to explore. But when something remains unseen, the inner world stays active. The mystery you hold is not about pretending. It is about authenticity that moves at its own pace. The way you speak, the calm pauses between your words, the moments you allow silence to breathe, all these create space. In that space, another's mind begins to travel. It begins to seek your essence, and in seeking, it forms a bond. This bond is not built through constant attention, but through remembered energy. In a world where everyone rushes to be known, mystery becomes rare. Yet it is this very rarity that holds power. People reveal everything too quickly. Their stories, their fears, their opinions, and in doing so, they dissolve the magnetic tension that keeps curiosity alive. To maintain mystery is to honor your own depth. It is to understand that not every thought must become a word, not every feeling must be explained, and not every silence must be filled. When you live this way, you create presence that demands reflection. Those who meet you will feel it, even if they cannot name it. Mystery is not withholding, it is wisdom. It says, I know the value of what I carry. When you reveal only what is necessary, your energy remains intact, undiluted. The more you leave unspoken, the more space there is for the other person to listen. Not just to you, but to themselves. They begin to feel emotions that rise from within, questions that were sleeping in their heart. And because you do not rush to answer them, they continue to think of you, to revisit the energy you left behind. Reflection thrives in contrast. Just as darkness defines light, mystery defines understanding. When someone cannot completely define you, they cannot dismiss you. Their mind must return to you to interpret what remains uncertain. This is how energy circulates. What is unresolved becomes alive. The question becomes the thread that connects two inner worlds, invisible but unbreakable. Mystery is the discipline of restraint. It asks you to hold back the impulse to explain, to justify, to impress. It asks you to simply be and allow your presence to speak beyond language. When you no longer seek to prove who you are, your energy becomes undeniable. It no longer chases attention, it commands it through quiet confidence. This is the way of those who have mastered themselves. They do not reveal everything, yet they are never distant. They remain present, but undefined. In stillness, mystery deepens. You can feel it in the way water reflects the moon. The reflection is visible, but the depth of the water remains hidden. The moonlight invites you to look, but the darkness invites you to feel. That is what mystery does. It invites both the mind and the heart. It whispers that there is more, that something meaningful exists beyond the surface. And so, one keeps thinking, keeps wondering, keeps feeling. Mystery sustains reflection because it transforms knowing into becoming. What is known sits still, but what is unknown moves. The mind becomes the traveler, and the heart becomes the compass. To embody mystery is to awaken the natural seeking spirit in another. It is to remind them that not all beauty can be possessed, only experienced. It is to make them realize that the most unforgettable presence is not the one that demands attention, but the one that leaves a question gently burning in silence. Energy follows attention, and attention is guided by curiosity. Wherever curiosity exists, life begins to move. Curiosity is the invisible current that awakens the dormant parts of the mind and stirs the silent chambers of the heart. It is the gentle spark that pulls the human spirit toward growth, toward discovery, toward connection. When curiosity dies, energy becomes stagnant. When curiosity is alive, every moment feels charged with possibility. To understand this truth is to see that curiosity is not merely a mental activity. It is the direction of your life force. When someone captures your curiosity, your energy flows toward them without force. You begin to think, to feel, to imagine, to wonder. It is not a choice. It is a natural movement of awareness. Curiosity is the bridge between thought and emotion, between perception and experience. It does not demand, it invites, and in that invitation, your energy willingly flows. You begin to reflect on their words, their silences, the way they move, the energy they carry. What draws you is not just what they show, but what remains undefined. Curiosity awakens because there is something alive, something you have not yet understood but wish to. In the teachings of inner cultivation, energy is never lost, it is only redirected. It flows where attention goes. This is why the mind must be trained to become still, to not scatter energy in 1,000 directions. But in the same way, when curiosity is consciously nurtured, energy gathers. It becomes focused, luminous, creative. A curious mind is not passive, it is engaged, alive, and connected to the unfolding of life. The more curious you are, the more energy you attract, because curiosity keeps you open. Openness is the natural state of energy. It seeks to move, to merge, to explore. When curiosity lives within you, you become magnetic. Others feel it without understanding why. They sense movement within your stillness, light within your silence. This is because curiosity gives life to presence. When you are curious about life, people, and energy itself, your gaze changes. You no longer look to judge or to control, you look to understand. Such awareness softens your energy. It becomes more inviting, more fluid. People are drawn to this energy because it reflects something their own spirit remembers, the joy of discovery. Curiosity is not about seeking answers. It is about entering a deeper relationship with the unknown. It is the willingness to stay open, even when certainty is not available. This openness becomes the channel through which energy flows freely. A person who is curious is never stuck because their energy does not close around rigid beliefs or fixed emotions. They are always learning, always transforming. When you approach others with curiosity, not expectation, your energy connects rather than collides. It listens, absorbs, and grows, and in return, it inspires reflection in those you meet. When curiosity disappears, the heart hardens. You begin to see the world not as it is, but as you think it should be. You no longer feel wonder, you feel judgment. You no longer seek to understand, you seek to be right. This is where energy becomes blocked. But the moment curiosity returns, the flow resumes. You start to ask gentle questions again, not to control, but to understand. You begin to look at people and think, what is it that they are trying to express through their actions? What emotion hides behind that silence? These questions open the gates of empathy, and where empathy flows, connection deepens. In relationships, curiosity is the unseen thread that keeps energy alive. When curiosity fades, presence fades. When you no longer wonder about another person, what they feel, how they think, what shapes their silence, you begin to drift away. But when curiosity lives, energy continues to circulate between two souls, even in distance. It is this movement of energy that keeps someone thinking, remembering, reflecting. The mind follows what the heart is curious about, and the heart invests energy where curiosity dwells. The ancient masters taught that awareness is the master key of life energy. To be aware is to be curious, to observe without rushing to conclude. When a student sits before a master, they are not told every truth. They are guided to question, to look deeper, to find answers through their own reflection. In that questioning, their awareness grows stronger. Their energy becomes refined, like a flame that no longer flickers but burns with steady clarity. In the same way, curiosity in daily life refines your energy. It turns chaos into insight, monotony into mindfulness, routine into revelation. Curiosity also carries humility. To be curious is to admit that you do not yet know. It is to bow before the vastness of experience and say, "Teach me." This humility keeps the heart young and the energy pure. When you stop being curious, you begin to age, not in body, but in spirit. The world becomes smaller and your energy contracts. But when you stay curious, life remains expansive. Every moment, even the simplest, becomes an opportunity to learn. You start to see that every sound, every expression, every breath is a form of teaching. Energy moves in patterns of resonance. When you are curious about someone or something, your energy aligns with theirs. You tune into their vibration, trying to feel what they feel. This resonance builds invisible connection. The more deeply you feel, the more energy is exchanged. This is why certain encounters stay with you. They awaken deep curiosity, not because of what is said, but because of what is sensed. Something in that person calls your energy forward. You begin to think, to imagine, to explore within yourself. Curiosity becomes the bridge between your inner world and theirs. When curiosity lives in your mind, energy flows like water, adaptive, alive, uncontainable. It does not fight to move, it simply moves because it must. Curiosity is the river that keeps consciousness from drying into opinion. It dissolves resistance, it opens perception, it nourishes awareness. When your curiosity deepens, your energy refines, you stop reacting and start responding. You begin to notice details that others overlook, the tone of a word, the pause in a sentence, the quiet between two heartbeats. And in noticing, your energy connects more deeply with the rhythm of life. To live with curiosity is to live with flow. It is to allow your attention to move like the wind, not aimless, but alive. Energy always follows the movement of curiosity, because curiosity is the natural expression of the soul's desire to grow. It is not something you create, it is something you protect. You protect it by staying present, by not rushing to conclusion, by remaining open to wonder. Wherever curiosity lives, the energy will flow, and wherever energy flows, life continues to expand. To be present is to be fully alive in the moment. To possess is to cling to what the moment gives. One comes from awareness, the other from fear. Presence flows, possession holds. Presence allows connection to breathe, possession suffocates it. The greatest misunderstanding in human relationships is the belief that to love means to own. But love, in its truest form, is not ownership, it is understanding. It is the capacity to stand beside something beautiful and not need to control it, to feel close without the desire to capture, to experience connection without the weight of demand. Presence is an energy that speaks silently. You do not need to assert it, because it already exists in how you move, how you listen, how you see. When you are present, you are not trying to dominate the space. You become part of it. Possession, however, arises when insecurity begins to whisper that your value depends on keeping what you love close. It creates tension, expectation, and fear of loss. Where possession begins, peace ends. The mind starts to imagine stories of control, and the heart forgets that love was meant to be freedom. In the stillness of observation, you can see the difference clearly. The tree does not cling to the bird that lands upon its branch, it simply offers support, and when the bird flies away, the tree remains steady. The river does not try to hold the fish. It continues to flow, knowing that the fish belongs to the current, not to possession. Presence allows life to unfold naturally. It trusts the rhythm of energy, that what is meant to stay will stay, and what is meant to go will go. Possession interferes with that rhythm and brings suffering, because it tries to fight impermanence with control. Presence without possession is the highest expression of awareness in love. It means you can stand in someone's life without invading it, touch their heart without trying to own it, and leave an imprint without needing to be remembered. Such presence comes from a calm mind and an abundant heart. It is rooted in the understanding that love is not diminished by distance, nor strengthened by control. It grows through trust, not through attachment. The more you try to possess, the less present you become, because your attention shifts from being with someone to holding them in fear of losing them. In the practice of mindfulness, one learns that true connection is not about merging completely with another, but about meeting them consciously in the space between. This space is sacred. It allows both beings to breathe. When two energies meet without possession, they flow together in harmony, like two waves that merge without losing their identity. They move as one rhythm yet remain whole within themselves. Possession, however, collapses that balance. It demands, be mine. Instead of whispering, be free with me. Presence says, I am here. Possession says, you belong to me. The energy of possession is heavy. It constricts the natural flow of emotion. It tries to define and confine what cannot be contained. But presence is light. It does not hold. It radiates. When you embody presence, your energy expands naturally. People feel safe around you, not because you promise forever, but because you offer authenticity. You do not pull them into your orbit. You allow them to dance within their own. And yet they feel your energy wherever they go, because true presence leaves a vibration that lingers beyond time. In the teachings of inner balance, the master learns to hold power without grasping it. The same applies to love. The one who knows their worth does not chase, they remain. They understand that presence itself is more powerful than possession, because presence cannot be lost. You can be miles away from someone, and yet they can still feel you. In a thought, in a memory, in an energy that continues to echo. Possession fades when distance appears, but presence transcends distance entirely. It is not bound by time or form. Possession comes from a place of lack, presence from a place of wholeness. When you feel incomplete within yourself, you try to fill that space by owning something outside of you. But when you are at peace within, you no longer grasp, you allow. You begin to see that everything around you, people, experiences, moments, are part of a flowing river. To try to possess them is like trying to hold water in your hands. The tighter you grasp, the faster it slips away. But if you simply let your hands stay open, the water rests upon your palms for a while, and in that stillness, you can feel its coolness, its life, its truth. Presence without possession teaches respect. It honors the individuality of another person, allowing them to move through their own seasons. You do not need to interfere with their process because your connection does not depend on control. You can care without clinging, give without expecting, love without fearing. This kind of love does not bind, it liberates. It allows both souls to evolve freely, to find themselves more deeply through the reflection of one another. To live in presence is to become aware of your own energy. You do not act out of desperation, but out of awareness. You know that the person before you is not yours to own. They are a mirror, reflecting your capacity to love without condition. You start to understand that what matters is not how long something lasts, but how fully you are there while it exists. When your heart learns this, it no longer seeks permanence, it seeks depth. You begin to appreciate moments as sacred, not because they stay, but because they are real. The stillness of true presence requires strength. It is easier to cling than to trust. It is easier to demand than to surrender. But mastery lies in surrender, not to weakness, but to wisdom. To stand in love without possession is to understand that what connects souls cannot be owned, it can only be experienced. It is to know that presence, when pure, does not fade. It remains as energy, as essence, as vibration. Possession may satisfy the ego, but presence nourishes the soul. Presence without possession is the art of letting energy move through you without trying to trap it. It is the discipline of being fully here, yet free from control. It is knowing that your presence can reach others without physical closeness, that energy once exchanged does not disappear, it transforms. When you live this way, your connections deepen, your peace grows, and your love expands beyond limitation. You no longer fear losing people because you have learned that what is real is never truly gone. It only changes form within the silence of your presence. There are words that fade the moment they are spoken, and there are words that live long after the sound has disappeared. The difference lies not in how they are said, but in the energy that carries them. Some words echo, not because they are loud, but because they are true. They travel beyond the ears and settle into the unseen space between souls. Silence becomes their companion, not their absence. It is within silence that such words are heard again, not through sound, but through remembrance. When a word is spoken with full presence, it does not need to be repeated. Its vibration lingers in the air like the fading scent of incense after the flame has gone out. The listener may walk away, but the essence remains. Later, in quiet moments, the memory returns, the tone, the rhythm, the calm behind the voice. The mind revisits it, not because it wants to, but because it must. The energy within that word has become a mirror, reflecting something within. This is how words echo, not as sound waves, but as inner ripples that awaken thought and emotion. In the teachings of awareness, one learns that true speech does not arise from the desire to impress, but from the stillness of understanding. When you speak from stillness, your words carry depth. They do not shout for attention, they command it through calm. Silence gives them strength. The pause before you speak, the space after you finish, these are not empty moments. They are part of the message itself. For it is within stillness that meaning settles, and within silence that energy takes root. Words that echo in silence are born from intention. They are not scattered randomly like leaves in the wind. They are placed carefully, with purpose and awareness. A single sentence, when spoken with truth, can awaken reflection that lasts for days. A single question, when asked with presence, can make the mind restless with wonder. Words like these do not chase reaction. They invite realization. They do not demand to be understood immediately. They wait knowing their meaning will unfold in time. Silence is not the absence of communication. It is the continuation of it. When you speak consciously, you leave behind energy that continues to speak for you. The listener may think the conversation has ended, but the silence that follows is still carrying your vibration. They may feel unsettled, curious, or inspired without knowing why. This is because words that are alive continue to move within consciousness. They work quietly, like seeds beneath the soil, waiting for the right moment to bloom. Every word carries energy. The energy of haste scatters. The energy of mindfulness gathers. When you speak without awareness, your words may fill the air but leave no trace. But when your words rise from stillness, they carry the weight of authenticity. They become memorable, not because of their beauty, but because of their truth. Even a simple, "I understand," when said with genuine empathy, can resonate deeper than 1,000 clever phrases. The energy of sincerity cannot be faked. It is felt beyond language. In human connection, words that echo are the bridges that link two inner worlds. They are the invisible threads that tie one moment to another. A person may not remember your exact phrasing, but they will remember the feeling your words awakened. This is the true echo, the emotional aftersound that lingers in the heart. You can speak for hours and leave no imprint, or say one sentence in stillness and live forever in someone's reflection. To create such echoes, one must first master silence. For silence is not weakness, it is the forge of strength. It teaches restraint, the art of speaking less but meaning more. The wise do not fill space with noise. They shape silence with understanding. They know that the most powerful message is not always what is said, but what is left unsaid. Between each word lies a pause, and in that pause lies energy. The one who listens deeply will hear it. Words that echo in silence also reveal the quality of presence behind them. When you speak from ego, your words may sound sharp, but they vanish quickly. When you speak from awareness, your words soften, yet they endure. The listener does not feel attacked, they feel seen. They do not resist, they reflect. Presence creates vibration, and vibration creates memory. The more present you are when you speak, the longer your words live in another's mind. Silence amplifies what is true. When noise fades, the essence remains. Think of how the softest sounds become clear in a quiet room. The heartbeat, the breath, the rustle of fabric. The same is true of communication. In the silence that follows speech, the true meaning emerges. If your words carry light, the silence will expand it. If your words carry darkness, the silence will reveal it. This is why mindfulness in speech is essential. Your words are not finished when you stop speaking. They continue to live in the stillness that follows. The energy of our spoken words can also echo deeply. Sometimes what you do not say holds more weight than what you express. A look, a pause, a quiet breath. These two communicate. Silence itself can become a message, a mirror, a teaching. In relationships, silence often reveals what words cannot. Sincerity, awareness, understanding. When two people can sit together in silence without discomfort, it means their energies have learned to speak without sound. In the path of self-mastery, one learns to honor both speech and silence equally. Words shape the external world, silence shapes the internal one. The two must move together like inhale and exhale. When you speak, speak with awareness. When you fall silent, listen with your whole being. In that listening, you will hear the echoes of truth, the reminders of what was said not with the mouth, but with the heart. Words that echo in silence remind us that communication is not about volume, but vibration. The most powerful influence is not achieved through persuasion, but through presence. When you align your words with your truth, you no longer need to speak much. Your silence becomes full, your energy speaks louder than your voice. People may not always remember your sentences, but they will remember how they felt when your words entered their silence. When you understand this, you begin to use language differently. You pause before speaking, not out of hesitation, but out of respect. You choose your tone carefully because you know sound shapes emotion. You release your words softly, knowing that they may travel beyond this moment, into someone's future thought, into their midnight reflection. And when the noise of life fades, your words may rise again, not as memory, but as guidance whispered by silence itself. Every encounter, every word, every look leaves an imprint on the human heart. Long after the moment fades, the emotion remains. It lingers in the quiet corridors of memory, shaping how we think, how we love, how we trust again. Time may erase the details of what was said, but the feeling it left behind continues to live, pulsing softly beneath the surface of consciousness. This is the nature of energy. It does not disappear, it transforms. Emotions are energy, and energy always seeks to move, to remember, to return. When two people meet, an exchange of energy takes place, whether through a conversation, a gesture, or even through silence. What is transferred is not merely words, but vibration, the invisible essence of intention and feeling. That vibration embeds itself in the other's emotional field, creating what can be called an imprint. Sometimes it is light, like the warmth of sunlight on skin. Sometimes it is heavy, like a shadow that refuses to leave. But every interaction carries its potential. The more conscious you are in that moment, the deeper the imprint you create. Emotional imprints outlive moments because the body and the mind record differently. The mind may forget, but the body remembers. The heart stores sensations in ways logic cannot explain. You may hear a voice, a song, or smell a familiar scent, and suddenly a forgotten feeling rises again, as if no time has passed. This is the echo of energy revisiting you, the unseen residue of experiences that have shaped your inner landscape. Some of these imprints bring peace, others bring ache, but all are reminders that emotion has its own timeless language. In relationships, what truly connects people is not the sequence of events, but the emotional tone those events carry. You may not recall every conversation, but you remember how someone made you feel safe, inspired, anxious, or alive. That feeling becomes a signature, an emotional fingerprint that remains long after the physical presence is gone. When a person cannot stop thinking of another, it is often not because of what was said, but because of the energy that was exchanged beneath the words. The imprint of that energy becomes a quiet presence in the subconscious, revisiting them in solitude. In the discipline of inner cultivation, one learns that emotions are not meant to be suppressed or denied, but understood. Every emotion leaves a trace, and awareness allows you to transform that trace into wisdom rather than residue. Unconscious emotion creates weight, conscious emotion creates insight. When you experience joy, love, or even pain with awareness, the imprint it leaves becomes a teacher. It refines your perception, deepens your compassion, and awakens your ability to connect more truthfully with others. The more you awaken, the more you sense how deeply energy moves through every human encounter. Emotional imprints also reveal the depth of presence shared in a moment. Shallow interactions pass through without leaving much behind, but moments lived in awareness, even brief ones, leave energy that continues to breathe long after the moment ends. This is why certain experiences, even if short, feel eternal. A single glance that carried understanding, a word spoken from the heart, a silence that held truth. These live beyond time. The body moves forward, but the energy of those experiences stays alive, shaping how one perceives life thereafter. Every emotional imprint is also a form of communication between souls. When you touch someone's heart through your authenticity, your energy becomes part of their field. You are remembered not as a collection of words or actions, but as a vibration. People may try to explain why they feel drawn to you, but what they are really describing is the memory of energy. the emotional resonance your presence left behind. It cannot be measured or seen, but it can be felt again and again, especially in moments of quiet reflection. In stillness, these imprints reveal themselves most clearly. When the noise of daily life subsides, old energies rise to the surface, asking to be acknowledged. You begin to sense how certain people still live within you, not physically, but energetically. Their laughter, their pain, their essence, all left imprints that continue to move through your being. This is not attachment, it is the nature of energy. To live consciously is to feel these imprints without becoming trapped in them, to recognize them as part of your journey rather than as chains that bind you to the past. Emotional imprints are also the reason why presence carries such power. When you meet someone who is deeply present, their energy leaves a mark on you. You feel seen in a way that transcends words. They may not try to change you or impress you, yet something in their stillness touches your spirit. That is the imprint of awareness. It is subtle yet unforgettable. The body forgets faces, but the soul remembers vibrations. The deeper the presence, the deeper the imprint, because true awareness connects beyond form. It connects through essence. Even pain, when experienced consciously, leaves a sacred imprint. Suffering can open pathways of empathy that no teaching could create. The heart that has known loss learns tenderness. The spirit that has faced darkness learns clarity. Such imprints refine the soul, shaping it into something more expansive, more awake. Emotional imprints, therefore, are not meant to be erased. They are meant to be integrated. To remember not the story, but the lesson. To carry forward the growth without the heaviness of the past. When you begin to understand that emotional imprints outlive moments, you start to speak, act, and connect differently. You realize that every encounter leaves a mark, that your words and energy are not fleeting. They travel through others and return to you in ways unseen. This awareness brings mindfulness into every interaction. You begin to ask yourself, what imprint am I leaving in this moment? Is it peace or tension, kindness or impatience, love or indifference? You start to move with gentleness, knowing that even silence can leave a trace. In truth, every soul we meet becomes part of our vibration, and we become part of theirs. Life is a constant exchange of emotional energy, an intricate weaving of invisible threads that connect all beings. Some threads glow softly with warmth, others pulse with longing or regret, but each tells the story of how we have felt and been felt by others. When you meet someone who awakens something deep inside you, it is often not a new connection, but the reactivation of an old imprint. Energy recognizes itself through emotion. Emotional imprints outlive moments because energy does not obey time. The heart remembers in ways the mind cannot measure. This is why certain feelings arise unexpectedly. In music, in solitude, in dreams. They are echoes of energy still moving, still teaching, still transforming. To live with awareness is to honor these echoes, to listen to what they whisper, to learn from what they awaken. Because in the end, it is not the moments we hold on to that shape us, but the emotional imprints they leave behind. The silent energies that continue to guide us long after the moment itself has passed. The human mind longs for completion. It wants closure, definition, and clear endings to every story. Yet life in its essence is not complete. It is always becoming, always unfolding. The art of unfinished meaning is the art of allowing space for mystery, for silence, for possibility. It is the understanding that not every question must be answered, not every emotion must be resolved, and not every connection must be defined. When something remains unfinished, the mind continues to return to it. It revisits, reflects, reimagines. The unknown becomes alive, and through that aliveness, presence deepens. Meaning, when left open, becomes infinite. The moment you define something too tightly, you confine it within boundaries of understanding. But when you allow it to breathe, it expands beyond your control, growing into new forms of realization. The beauty of poetry lies not in what is said, but in what is left unsaid. The same truth applies to human connection and the inner path of awareness. It is the space between words that makes them powerful. It is the pause between gestures that holds emotion. What is unfinished continues to speak quietly through silence. The mind resists this truth because it seeks comfort in certainty. To leave something incomplete feels uncomfortable, like a note unresolved in music. Yet it is that tension that keeps energy alive. When meaning remains unfinished, it creates movement within consciousness. It pulls the attention inward, asking questions without demanding immediate answers. That inward pull awakens reflection, and reflection deepens awareness. When everything is explained, nothing is discovered. But when something remains a mystery, the heart stays curious, and curiosity keeps energy flowing. In relationships, the art of unfinished meaning becomes the silent thread that keeps two minds connected beyond words. When someone leaves a question unspoken or a thought incomplete, the other person begins to fill the silence with imagination. They wonder, what did they mean? Or what were they feeling in that pause? The mind begins to paint pictures, to explore possibilities. It is not manipulation. It is the natural way energy moves between souls. Unfinished meaning gives space for reflection, and reflection gives birth to connection. Ancient teachings often speak in parables, symbols, and paradoxes. They never reveal everything directly because the purpose is not to inform, but to awaken. When a master speaks, they leave silence between the sentences so the listener's own understanding can arise. This is the same art, the art of leaving room for the unknown to participate. Truth that is given completely is easily forgotten. Truth that is hinted at becomes a lifelong companion. It keeps whispering in your mind long after the words have faded, guiding you to discover its meaning through your own experience. Unfinished meaning also exists in emotion. Sometimes, what you feel cannot be fully expressed through words, and in trying to explain it, the feeling loses its purity. There is a sacredness in what remains unspoken. When you allow emotion to exist without forcing it into definition, it matures quietly. Grief, love, longing, these are not meant to be solved, they are meant to be lived. Each carries its own rhythm, its own silence. To honor unfinished emotion is to honor the process of being human. It is to recognize that the heart too has its own timing of understanding. In art, the unfinished often holds more beauty than the perfected. A painting with visible brushstrokes, a poem that ends abruptly, a melody that fades instead of resolves. These leave space for the listener or viewer to participate. They invite you to step inside the work, to complete it with your own imagination. This participation transforms passive observation into living connection. The same happens in communication between people. When you reveal everything, you leave no room for the other to wonder. But when you speak with subtlety, with pauses, with grace, you invite their curiosity, and their mind begins to travel toward you even when you are no longer there. The art of unfinished meaning is also the art of humility. It acknowledges that you do not hold all truth. That understanding is always evolving. To speak in absolutes is to close the door to new learning. To leave space for mystery is to stay open to growth. The wise never claim to know everything. They simply share what has been revealed so far, knowing more will unfold in time. This humility keeps the spirit soft and the energy flowing. When you accept that meaning is not static but fluid, you begin to live with more awareness and less fear. In silence, unfinished meaning matures. When you stop trying to force clarity, insight arises naturally. Many of life's most profound realizations do not come through thinking, but through allowing. You live the question until it becomes its own answer. You stop demanding that life reveal its secrets, and instead, you begin to listen to its rhythm. The more you release the need to define, the more you begin to feel. Meaning is not an object to grasp, it is an experience to be lived. It reveals itself slowly, like dawn spreading across a quiet sky. The energy of unfinished meaning also keeps relationships alive beyond presence. When someone leaves without fully explaining, without completing every thought, a part of their energy remains. The mind returns to that space again and again, trying to complete what was left open. It searches, imagines, reflects. This is not a sign of confusion, it is a sign of depth. The energy of unfinished meaning continues to circulate between two souls long after the moment has passed. It keeps them connected, not through possession, but through reflection. In spiritual practice, unfinished meaning becomes a doorway. Every question that cannot be answered by logic invites you inward. Who am I? What is love? What is truth? These questions cannot be completed with words. They can only be lived through awareness. The purpose of such questions is not to solve them, but to awaken the one who is asking. The search itself becomes the practice. The beauty of the path lies not in finding the final answer, but in walking consciously with the mystery. To live within unfinished meaning is to live in harmony with life's impermanence. It is to understand that closure is not always peace, and that the unknown is not emptiness, it is potential. When you allow space for the undefined, you begin to see that everything carries more than one layer of truth. The same sentence can reveal new wisdom each time you return to it. The same silence can mean something different with each breath. This is the art of awareness, to let meaning remain open enough to grow with you. Unfinished meaning keeps energy alive because it keeps curiosity awake. It reminds you that life is not a puzzle to be solved, but a poem to be felt. Each unanswered question becomes a path toward deeper understanding, and each silence becomes a mirror reflecting your own awareness. The art of unfinished meaning is not about incompleteness. It is about allowing the mystery of life to stay sacred, unconfined, and alive within the endless unfolding of your consciousness.